Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Onside SA, the soccer show that gives you all the information. We're at that stage where they're finishing the qualifying rounds of the World Cup badge. It's been great.
Yeah, brilliant, Paul. Good times as well. Well, not for the Germans, but
they don't look good.
No, they're rubbish. They've been rubbish for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with them at all. I thought a few games they were desperate to get their only win.
Yeah, Paul, even in the friendlies, they had 7 friendlies prior to the World Cup. They only beat Saudi Arabia. You know, I don't know what this guy was playing at low, but the old players are having a full go at him, yeah?
Yeah, well, he dropped that Man City player.
And the sad thing about that is Sane got dropped. Now, the youngster that replaced him never started in one game. So what's the use of dropping Sane when you got Julian Drexler, who never played for PSG the whole year, and he plays in that position. So
yeah, very strange. We'll be talking to them in a moment, but let's see if we can get the international pundit on the line. They're still trying to get hold of Stevie B, the international pundit. He's working out of our studio in London, and he'll come to us. But let's start talking about Group H, Budge. Group H is this afternoon at 4 o'clock our time. Obviously 3 o'clock for Stevie B and them.
Yep.
Japan, Poland, wooden spooners?
Well, you know, Poland could do what Costa Rica did. Nothing to play for, but you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to have a full go. Japan need a draw to almost be guaranteed to go through.
And Senegal, Colombia, how's it look?
Paul, I like Colombia, the two teams. You know, but they didn't play well. But they had a player sent off in the first 10 minutes in the first game. But they've got to win, otherwise they're out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. There we go. 4 points Japan, 4 points Senegal, they're both +1.
Yeah.
Colombia,
3
points. This is tight, Budge. And then Poland are just there to upset.
Poland are gone, yeah.
Just there to upset. So Lewandowski...
he just hasn't had... He's like Ronaldo at Portugal, Paul. The assistants that they get, they're one-man teams.
Yeah.
So it's tough on him, and everyone's slating him. But, you know,
goes their
if
way.
he wasn't there, they wouldn't have qualified.
How many African teams got a chance of going through?
Only one.
Senegal.
Only Senegal. They need a point to go through. Otherwise, every African team is out. And there's only one Asian team that could have qualified, and that's Japan.
So
they've had 5.
If Japan lose, they stay on 4. Yeah. Senegal would need a point. No, they won't.
They won't. But it would go down to goal difference.
They would go goal difference. Correct. That's what it's all about. Colombia could get in there still.
Yeah, Colombia win, they're in.
Win, they're in. Draw, they're out.
Yep. Well, unless Japan lose.
Yes. So it's still all
to play for, yeah.
And that's at 4 o'clock.
That's 4 o'clock, the early kickoff for us.
How are we doing with Stevie B? Lovely. Stevie, you there?
Thanks.
Stevie?
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Yeah, it's been hectic down here. We've had, the studio has been utilised for the Vodacom Durban July gallops. All the horses came down and galloped.
Sure, of course.
Very festive, but at least we're rolling. We're just talking about Germany. Anything you want to add about Germany?
Well, I mean, look, who could have predicted some of these results? I think after sort of getting that last-minute winner against Sweden, I think most people thought that Germany had the easiest of the matches against Korea, would win that and would sail through. Yet on the day, it didn't happen for them, and they've been found wanting in it. It's their worst performance in decades.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe the centre-half situation. You know, Hummels, Boateng, whoever they played at the back, Steve, they looked terrible.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there were some comments about they've got, on the one hand, they've got a very experienced, settled squad, but they've also got, a lot of older players.
Yeah.
The Mullers of this world. I mean, they've been great players, but I think they've been found wanting. I think they need a complete rethink about some of the players they brought in and left out. I mean, they left Leroy Sané out of Man City, who's had a fantastic season. That certainly backfired on them, I think.
Steve, just before we talk more World Cup, let's just quickly talk Premiership again. Any news on Conte or any news on managers or major signings for that matter?
Well, the way that the press are talking is that Sarri is a done deal and will be brought in, but it's all very strange because Conte is still in place. Yet they're talking about Sarri coming in and who his backroom team is going to be
Zola,
and what the players he's going to sign.
Yeah, I heard Zola's coming as his assistant. Is that right? Young Franco Zola, Steve, is was mentioned. He was an assistant.
Who knows? But it just seems very disrespectful. I mean, how can they be doing this when they've got a manager still in place? Sure, you'd have thought that they would settle that situation, and if Conte is going to go, and they've agreed a settlement with him, until that time, they shouldn't really be talking about who they're bringing in.
Yeah, but Chelsea have never really had any respect for their managers anyway. They normally
No,
last
well,
18 months.
I think we know that. I think they sort of do what they want and the way they want to do it. And I guess ultimately, to me, it's 99% he is going to go. And I guess they're just discussing the finer points of the payoff. And in fact, when you look at it, most managers tend not to reach the end of their contract at Chelsea, and most of them do leave quite wealthy men.
Yeah. Steve, I see Man United made another major signing. We're re-signing Marouane Fellaini. Can you believe that?
Yeah. If that's definitely going to happen, I mean, it's interesting because he hasn't had a huge amount of game time.
Yeah.
Yet Mourinho seems to like him. I mean, he was playing less before, but he's one of these players. I remember seeing him play when he was at Everton at Fulham, and he was completely unplayable. We just couldn't stop him. He got 2 goals against us, and he was magnificent. But he has games where he goes missing.
Yeah, he's not a midfield player, Steve. I've watched him many times. He's a number 10. You play him with a centre forward. You play off him. He's limited, but they can't play him in the midfield.
That's what he did at Fulham. I mean, he played up top, and everything went to him. It was like a magnet, and it's very hard to knock off the ball.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to World Cup, because that's where all the action is at the moment, Stevie. We're going straight on to England, Belgium. Budge and I, just before the show, we're discussing how equal their situations are and what would happen if this was a 0-0 draw. Do you know how it unfolds, Steve?
Well, yes. I mean, as things stand, although everything is level, if it's a draw, England would go through by virtue of the fact they've had 1 less booking. Now, they could end up drawing, but England could have, say, 2 players booked more than Belgium, and Belgium would win the group. So it's quite an unusual situation. It really is neck and neck. And obviously, we have this scenario where a lot of people are saying, are you better off not winning the group? I think, most people are now sort of saying, look, at the end of the day, you're not going to deliberately go out and not try and win. So, I think winning becomes a good habit. And if we could go out there and win, we just have to play whoever we play in the next round.
Yeah, I think what would be sad is if, say, England do have 1 extra booking and they draw lots, don't they?
I think that's right. I think that would be very interesting if that happens. That could easily happen.
Yeah.
Who do you think will win, Steve? Who will win the game?
I just have a feeling it'll be a draw. I think that I don't think either team are going to necessarily go at it hammer and tong. I think the last thing that either team need are injuries or suspensions. Could lose players. It sounds as if Belgium could be without Hazard and Lukaku tonight. They're not going to take any chances. I'm not sure England would risk Dele Alli either. I think there's talk that Dyer is going to play tonight, Eric Dyer. So. Not sure who he's going to rest, whether it's Henderson or Walker, perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it will be a good game. I mean, it's going to be a Premiership game. There's something like they expect about 17 to 18 of the players on the pitch play in the Premier League. So, they all know each other. You've got all these matchups with Man City and Tottenham and, the players playing with each other. So I'm not sure it's going to be... I hope it's more entertaining than the France-Denmark game, because once they realise that they were both going through, they just stopped playing.
Steve, looking at the players that have been booked, England have had 2 players booked, Walker and Loftus-Cheek. Especially with Walker, do you think he'll take a chance and play him, or will he just rest him?
Well, that's why I think if he wants to play Dyer, I would have thought Dyer for Walker would make sense. I don't think Walker is a natural centre-half anyway.
Yeah.
And he was obviously found wanting with the decision against him for the penalty. It was a poor bit of defending. So I think that would be an easy swap really, and protect him for going through, because obviously what we don't want to do is either of those to pick up bookings and miss the first knockout game.
Well, the Belgium 3 that have been booked is Vertonghen, Meunier and De Bruyne. So I doubt he'll play those 3. And if you say Lukaku's missing,
want to lose De Bruyne, whether or not he'll rest him if Hazard was out, whether or not he wants to rest De Bruyne as well. Vertonghen could be interesting if he's marking Harry Kane. And again, I can't see that he's going to be going hard on his teammate as some of the defenders from Panama and Tunisia were.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be a booking in the Panama-Tunisia game?
I mean, that's, in a way, it could be entertaining because neither of them got anything to play for other than pride. They might as well go for it. They don't have to hold back. It could be quite lively. But I mean, obviously, in some respects, it's a shame. It's great for England that they know they're through, but it's a shame as a spectacle that there's nothing really riding on the games other than some position. And obviously, when you watch the games like sort of Nigeria-Argentina or last night's game, Serbia-Brazil, there's something on the game. So it's played with a high level of intensity.
Yeah. The only thing is, Steve, neither of the teams that everyone's talking about Brazil haven't been special.
No.
So
not at all. I thought there were big patches of the game when Serbia were on top and were unlucky not to score.
Well, your man should have scored with a header, shouldn't he, Mitrovic?
Absolutely. It's quite amusing because I'm looking at the Fulham fans forums, and everybody loves Mitrovic, wants him to do well, but the other side of the coin is every time he scores, you think that's another couple of million on the transfer fee if he wants to get him. So in some respects, it's shame for him. But it might sort of keep that fee down below the 20 million now he's coming home.
Okay.
Stevie, we've just had a look, Budge and I, at the last 16, how it's unfolded. We're just going to run through your comments on these different games that have come through. There's 8 games, and there are obviously 2 grey areas. The winner of Japan, Senegal, or Colombia. Two of those are going to go through. But we're going to ask you, as we've sort of put it, France, Argentina.
Well, I mean, I haven't been overly impressed with Argentina. I mean, they did enough just about to beat Nigeria, but left it very late. France, I don't think are firing at all yet. I mean, with the players they've got and the quality they've got, they haven't really shown a lot. I'm going to go with France, but I think they just need to up their game a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Steve. They've been absolutely woeful. Well, we've gone for France to win it outright.
So France, Argentina.
But nothing would surprise me there. Argentina have been poor, but Messi,
they're
can.
Poor, but they play with heart, and obviously means a lot to them. But I think defensively they were fairly average against Nigeria. Although obviously offensively they got some great attacking players.
Yeah, nothing would surprise me in that game.
Steve, just talking about Argentina, Maradona out of school.
Yeah, I mean, the cameras panned on him when they scored and when they conceded. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's passionate about his country. I mean,
he is.
He's a real character, and then blames the white wine for collapsing. He is a character. He's larger than life. I mean,
absolutely.
Now,
so he blames Colombia for their marching powder. All right, Uruguay, Portugal. Your take, you and Budge. I want both of you to give me an opinion here.
There's something about Uruguay. I mean, they've won all their 3 games. They haven't conceded. They've got a great forward line and they've got a really good, strong defence. If Ronaldo's on song, fine. But I've just got a feeling that I'm tipping Uruguay.
Yeah, so I agree.
They're going to do this. I thought Portugal were very average the other day, and in fact, if it wasn't for a little bit of poor finishing at the end, Iran could have beaten them and knocked them out.
Iran should have scored an injury time.
I agree. I think Uruguay goes through.
Brazil, Mexico.
This could be a really. I mean, again, before yesterday, I was very impressed with Mexico. I didn't see live the Mexico-Sweden game. I just saw the highlights, and whether they just got too complacent. I mean, that was a huge result. Mexico rarely beat Brazil. It's in one of those matchups. I'm looking at the stats. They rarely beat them. I just think Brazil will be too strong for them on the day.
Yeah, me too. I watched the game. That was the game that I watched yesterday, and Sweden are one of those underrated teams that, they knocked out Holland, they knocked out Italy, and they should have got a draw against the Germans. I thought they would beat Mexico. Mexico hung on against America, and South Korea gave them a game too. I'm not impressed with Mexico. I think the Brazilians, while they haven't been great, I think this is a time for them to step up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Sweden are one of those teams. They're a very hard team to beat.
Yeah.
They're a big physical team, and people, obviously we're talking about England, people are saying, who do England want to face? England have only beaten Sweden, I think it's once, in a friendly, in something like 50 years.
Let's talk about...
One of those teams Let's
talk about Sweden against Switzerland. What's your take there, boys?
Well, I think that's going to be a really tight, tough game. I think that both hard to beat. Switzerland, is it one defeat in about 20 games?
Yeah.
They're not great, but they play, man for man. They haven't got a team full of stars, but they play well as a team, and the same as Sweden. I think it'll be a very tight game.
Who are you going with?
I think that one could go to extra time.
But you've got to give me a selection. This is a betting site.
I'm going to go for Sweden.
Budge?
Yeah, I like Switzerland.
Jeez, you guys have all gone the same. Okay, let's move on. There's two other games I'm going to ask you about because I'm not going to try and work out whether England win it or whether Senegal or Japan get through. So there's two more I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you Spain, Russia.
Personally, I'm going to go for Spain. I mean, they're not playing brilliantly, but I think they'll be too strong for Russia. I thought Russia were flattered to deceive in the first couple of games, but they were found wanting against Uruguay. But I'm going to go for Spain.
Yeah, hard to see them the way they played against Uruguay. They were terrible. Yeah. And I think Spain got the wake-up call that they needed because they were hanging on too. That goal doesn't get scored, they're out. So I think it's time that they stood up and started doing something, Spain. But I agree. I think they'll be too good for Russia.
So you're all the same going into the last game. Croatia, Denmark, Steve?
I'm going to go for Croatia again. I think Denmark are a difficult team, but Croatia have been, probably been one of the surprise packages. In as much as we know they've got some good players, but they've been sort of better as a unit than I thought they would, and they've got a terrific midfield.
Yeah.
Obviously your ex-boy Modric and Rakitic. I mean, players who are playing, in the two of the biggest clubs in the world, and they're playing together and playing really well. So
I agree. I think they've been the best team in the competition so far, Croatia.
Okay, well, you guys have been on the same team all the way through. And the last one, just to probably separate your two selections, who is going to win the World Cup after we've seen so much, Steve?
Well, I mean, my pick at the outset was Brazil, but I'm not 100% sure. Having said that, lots of people were picking Germany or Spain or France, and none of them have played particularly well.
Get off the fence, Steve. Get off the fence. We want a team.
I'm still going to go with Brazil.
Stevie, Brazil. But
I was going to say England, but I don't want people on the show laughing. So.
Yeah. Well, the team with the best group team in the Euros and have been the best group team has been Croatia. There's a lurker. I fancy Croatia. They've drawn the right side of the group. I think if they get Spain, I think they're good enough to beat Spain. And that side is very weak. So if I had to have a bet, Croatia 12-1, I think it's good value.
Yeah,
alrighty, well, thanks, Steve. Thanks very, very much for your input again. Keep getting us news of what's happening in the Premier League. We're always
absolutely. And this time next week, we'll have a fairly good idea of who's going through. We'll know who's in the last 8.
Correct.
All right. Thanks very much for your time, Steve. As always,
pleasure.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
All the best, Steve.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go on to betting now. Budge, we've got to go to the last 16. We've got betting here. We'll probably have it on a slide. Yeah. France, Argentina would be the first up, and here they are, Budge. Your call.
Well, they put top African team, which we selected Senegal, which is right. France, Argentina, of all the quarterfinals, Paul, this is the one I had my doubts with. As you say, Argentina squeaked in. Defensively, they're terrible.
Yeah.
But, France aren't the best, and
there's Messi.
But it's time for France to step up. All these big players, Mbappe and Pogba, Griezmann, it's time they stepped up because they've been woeful in this competition, Paul. I know they finished top of the group. Don't be surprised if a draw. We've gone for France, obviously, to win it outright, I have. So it's France in a draw, but nothing would surprise me in that game.
Both teams have scored 3 goals, France and Argentina. Mm-hmm. The difference is France have conceded 1.
Yeah,
Argentina
and the goal was a penalty.
And Argentina 3. So it could be tight. Okay, so you're going France
and
draw.
I like France in the draw there.
All right, how about Uruguay and Portugal?
I think Uruguay will beat Portugal, Paul. I just think if you have a look at the back, Godin, they're organised at the back, and they're like a club team, that Uruguay. They play like Atletico Madrid. They fly around. I'm not impressed with Portugal. Bar Ronaldo, to me, they shouldn't even be in the knockout stages.
Yeah,
the free kick against Spain, they should have lost there. Yeah. Iran outplayed them. Morocco outplayed them. Yeah. They shouldn't be there. Uruguay for me, Paul, 16-10.
Okay, 16-10. And the next one we got is Spain,
Russia. It should
Russia.
be Spain.
Is 6-10 short, or is it a good price?
It should be a good price. Just having a look at Russia, the home crowd. Yeah. But I've got to fancy Spain, Paul. They were woeful the other night. They were hanging on. But you've got to think the manager, he's got to earn his corn, Herrera. It's time to get rid of one of those playmaking.
All right, and then
midfield players.
Croatia, Denmark,
I think
8 to 10 Croatia.
Yeah, they're in our bets, Paul.
It's
I'm
a
really
clash
impressed.
between two great Spurs midfielders.
Yeah, Modric and Eriksen. I've watched Denmark all their games. Well organised, not impressed.
Only conceded
Croatia,
one,
yeah.
and Croatia have conceded one. But Croatia have scored 7.
Yeah, they've looked.
The other side have only scored 2.
Well, the other night, Paul, they beat Iceland.
They beat
made
Nigeria
8
comfortably.
changes.
Yeah.
8 changes in the team, and they still won. I know Iceland had to go for it in the end. It could have been a draw. But they've been the best team in the competition so far. But it's knockout now.
Yeah.
But they've got their players. It's time to step up.
Right, we've got another one here. Budget. Are these teams right?
Yeah, that's the draw for the other games on I think it's Monday, Paul. So we haven't got them in the slides. I just put them up for our reference.
Brazil, Mexico?
Yeah, it should be Brazil, Paul.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mexico got thumped the other day.
Yeah, they were
3-1.
terrible. I watched the game, Paul. Terrible.
And then Sweden, Switzerland, good game.
Well, a draw's a player there because they're both well organised.
Stretch a bit of 2 to 1 the draw.
Well, that's the bet for me, Paul.
Okay. No problem. We've got those in now. MLS, this is your forte, not mine.
Yeah. The only problem with this league, Paul, is it's played at 2, 3, 4 o'clock our time, so it's terrible. I just follow some of the games. It's hard to... You know, Seattle, Portland. Seattle are still the lowest goal scorers in the MLS. Portland are going well, so I've gone win and draw Portland against Seattle.
Oh, you're going against the
I've gone against the home team. Yeah, likewise in the next game. You know, Montreal are struggling. Sporting Kansas City are top of the Western Conference. Yeah, it's win and draw Sporting Kansas City again. I can't have Montreal at home. Atlanta is the guy who managed Argentina prior to this guy, Gerardo Martino, and the goalkeeper played for Brad Guzan. I think he was at Aston Villa, the little ball-head goal. They top of the Eastern Conference. They'll be too good for Orlando City, who have lost their last 7 league games. So Atlanta should be too good there. Columbus at home, very good. Real Salt Lake have only won one of the last 14 away from home. So Columbus Crew should be too good for Real Salt Lake. Now, talking about DC United, I think it's going to be confirmed today that Wayne Rooney is going to sign for them.
Yeah.
Can't play this week. But New England, managed by the ex-Spurs goalkeeper Brad Friedel, I think they'll be too good at home against DC United.
Okay, let's keep going with the MLS.
Second page, you know, Chicago, New York City. Now, Patrick Vieira left New York City, being replaced by one of the Man City youth coaches. So Chicago, I'm sure Bastian Schweinsteiger would wish he's still at the World Cup, but that's the draw 5 to 2, Paul. That's a big player in that game.
Schweinsteiger won't be distracted
anymore.
no.
One of the reasons why they went out, just no midfield guidance. I think Los Angeles with Zlatan Ibrahimovic will be too, sorry, he's in the Galaxy. I think Los Angeles will be too good for Philadelphia. Got a terrible away record. San Jose and Zlatan's LA Galaxy. I think there'll be plenty of goals there. I like the Galaxy of the two teams. Now, Toronto, the reigning champions, they're horrendous. They're not bad at home. Now, New York Red Bulls, I think they'll get a result. New York Red Bulls in the draw there. And I think Vancouver will be too good for a Colorado team that have won one of the last 13 away from home. So that's the way we're going in the MLS, Paul.
All right, tell me this sheet, bud.
Yeah, I've gone win and draw. I think that obviously there'll be a lot of tight games in the World Cup, but I've gone France win and draw against Argentina. The next 3 are obviously Swedish Super 18 games. I've gone Gars Gothenburg win and draw at home against Norby. I've gone Hallstam, we're going well at Jönköping Södra, win and draw the away team. I think Degerfors will get at least win or a draw against RK Frej. I bank at Vålerenga going well in the Norwegian Eliteserien. I think they'll be too good for Bodo Glimt. And I've thrown the draw in Uruguay, Portugal. I think Uruguay will get through, but I think it'll be a very tight game, Paul. 192 there.
Soccer 10, bud.
There's a second soccer 6.
Soccer 6.
I've gone Portland Timbers, win and draw at Seattle Sounders. I've banked at Atlanta to beat Orlando City. I've gone Sporting Kansas City, win and draw at Montreal Impact. I've banked the Crew to beat Real Salt Lake. And I've gone the field with New England against DC United. And Bastian Schweinsteiger, Chicago Fire against New York City, 216.
Okay, now the 10. That's getting difficult.
Yeah, the 10, I've gone the field with France, Argentina, Paul. I can't separate them, even though I do fancy France of the two teams. I've gone Gars Gothenburg, win and draw at home against Norby. I've gone Halmstad, win and draw at Jönköping Södra. I've banked at Brage to beat Värnamo. I've gone Degerfors, win and draw against RK Frej. Second page, I've gone Varberg's win and draw at Gefle. I've banked at Vålerenga to beat Bodo Glimt. I've gone Uruguay, win and draw against Portugal. I've banked Waterford, who third in the Irish League, to beat a struggling Sligo Wanderers. And I've gone Fortaleza, top of the Brazilian Serie B, to get at least a draw against Paysandu.
They've mixed it up, eh?
Well, there's not many games at the moment, Paul.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a lot of, you've got to go to the Brazilian Serie Bs, Norway, the lesser Swedish leagues. That's like when you see this, the 13, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Give us a look at that. Give us a comment.
Okay, I've gone Degerfors, win and draw against RK Fredge. I've gone Guy's Gothenburg, win and draw against Norby. I've gone Varbergs, win and draw at Gefle. I've gone Halmstad, win and draw at Young Kopping Sodra. I've banked Brage to beat IFK Vernamo. Vasteris at top of the Division 1 league. I've got them to win at Narcoppings. Acropolis are going well in the same division. I think they'll be too good for Sand Vikings.
No.
Oh, they cost us 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The second page, I've gone Eskilsminde to beat Angels home at home. I've gone Grebbestad, win and draw against Husqvarna. Oskerham's win and draw against Otterfeld. I've gone Falkensburg in the top of the league clash on Sunday, not to get beat against Helsingborg. I've gone Osters, win and draw at Landskrona. And I've gone Karlstad, who are going well, to beat Team Toron on Sunday, 409.
Tough to win.
Tough, Paul. Got to give it a bash, though.
Right,
you know?
Budgie's
Yeah,
best
I've
bets.
gone both teams to score in the France, Argentina. I just think that defensively they're both questionable. So I think there'll be goals in that game. And I've gone Croatia, Paul. They were 6-1 to reach the final. I think they're the better half of the draw.
Yeah.
I think it's worth an interest. 2,700 to 200. The World Cup quartet, the other one, I've gone over 1.5 goals in the Russia-Spain game. I've gone Croatia to beat Denmark, and I've gone with bookings in the other games. We're like 12, 13 to 10, looking for value.
Over
4.5 bookings in the Uruguay, Portugal, because there's going to be two or three.
Run this by me.
There has to be at least 5 bookings in both of those games.
Both those games,
Yeah.
okay.
Uruguay,
Okay.
Portugal, and France, Argentina. You can name 4 or 5 of them are going to get booked.
Yes, yeah.
They worked out at 12-1, Paul.
That's good odds.
2,400 to 200.
American MLS.
Yeah, the MLS, I've gone for 5 teams. I've gone Columbus Crew to beat Real Salt Lake. I've gone Los Angeles to beat Philadelphia. And I've gone win and draw the next 3 teams. New York Bulls are at Toronto. The Portland Timbers are at Seattle. And Sporting Kansas City to win and draw in Montreal. The Swedish Superettan quad, I've gone Beige to beat Värnamo. I've gone Eskilstuna to beat Ågrat. And I've gone win and draw. Halmstad at Young Kopping Sodra. And Oster at Landskrona, 2,200.
Okay, now the
over 2.5 goals. A lot of these Swedish games, there's plenty of goals. Well, hopefully it continues. So I've gone over 2.5 goals in the Gays Norby, Degerfors Fredge, Gefle Varbergs, and the 2 American games, Atlanta versus Orlando City, and Los Angeles against Philadelphia, 2,300 to 200. And we've gone back on the Collis King at 6 on Exa. I've gone Croatia to beat Denmark. I've gone Rosenborg to beat Bodo Glimt. I've gone Eskilstuna to beat Ågrat. I've got Columbus Crew to beat Real Salt Lake. Atlanta United to beat Orlando City. And I've gone Vancouver Whitecaps to beat Colorado Rapids, 16-1, 3,200 to 200.
Well, Budge, let's hope it turns. Let's hope it does. But that's very interesting. Some good teams we've gone for and some good bets. The different bets always make it interesting. Don't forget that there's great games today. The game for me is going to be obviously England against Belgium. Quick prediction?
1-1.
1-1. There we go. And until next time, make sure you're on side.